Over to you. Thank you.
Introduce myself by a short video made by my two teams of researchers, and you will see that we are really concerned by the sustainability in food and beverage industry.
As the first hospitality school in the world, Ecole hôtelière de Lausanne has a responsibility to contribute to sustainable development through innovation in the industry. EHL has two research chairs, the SAVIVA F&B chair and the Metro chair of innovation.
We observed that, in relation to waste management, Swiss restaurateurs remain very traditional. At present, the solutions brought to them should be extremely simple. Big changes start with small steps. However, in the future, digitalization will also provide impactful solutions.
Digitalization will also help to acquire and satisfy their clients, manage their costs and innovate. The digitalization of independent restaurants will help them to survive in the long term. However, our research observed a noticeable delay in 4 European countries and Japan.
The delay of the adoption of technology by independent restaurateurs is primarily due to a lack of access to knowledge and technological skills. This is why this issue can only be solved by giving restaurateurs incentives to learn and to be trained.
There are ways for independent restaurateurs to develop their skills. With collaborative practices and the creation of a strong community, they could learn from experts, from suppliers and their peers.
Okay, and now we have the pleasure to let the speakers introduce themselves. It will be the best way and the more effective way to do that. Olaf?
Yeah, what should I say? I'm Olaf Koch from Metro. Yeah.
Yes, it's a good introduction.
Yes.
Few words for people who are just coming now.
Yeah, well, for those who have not been attending the presentation before, Metro is a wholesale-denominated group. We are heading for a future where we have a mentality to support the success of SMEs, the small and medium-sized entrepreneurs in hospitality, hotels, restaurants, catering companies. And in that sense, we feel obliged not only to serve with sustainable product, where we have a lot of initiatives, but also to ensure the sustainable success of our customers. And that includes as well sharing knowledge, providing knowledge, training customers, and also providing access to innovation. I hope I brought everything in one nutshell.
Thank you very much. The next one will be Thomas Goval. It's done, randomly. Thomas?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Thomas. I'm French originally. I travel within the IHG Intercontinental Hotels Group chain in Germany, England, and France. And obviously, what's important for us as an international hotel chain, but also here for the Hotel Indigo Berlin-Kudamm, is how can we, as a property, try to get as much as possible invested in sustainability, and how can we engage ourselves, our teams, and our guests. So we're probably going to discuss this in a few minutes.
Thank you. And now we have a representative for a small restaurant, Jennifer.
Hello. Hello, my name is Jennifer, and I can just say I have to learn a lot, probably, because I have a small restaurant in Berlin, a Swiss restaurant. By the way, it's called Schwarze Heidi, because I'm Swiss and black, Schwarze Heidi. Ha ha ha. I found it very funny. And yes, we have 60 places, and I can just say, when you are a young employee, or a young owner of a restaurant, the most important thing in the beginning is to survive, and that's what I'm doing at the moment, surviving. And yes, I'm very happy to be here and to learn more, and I can also tell you about my experience in Berlin as a restaurant owner. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And the last one, Carlos, it's academic caution.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carlos Martin-Rios. I am a professor at the Ecole hôtelière of Lausanne, an associate professor of innovation, and my research is pretty much in the area of understanding innovation as a technological but also non-technological aspects in the service, food service, and hospitality. Thank you.
Thank you. As it was presented at the beginning of this day, the sustainable development, it's a very broad concept. So we decided to address only 3 topics, and these 3 topics will be there, as you can see. We will talk about their experiences, the panel members' experiences, best practices and bad practices, and then we will talk about the challenges they have to face. And the 3rd topic will be the future, if we have a future together. The first topic. Already Olaf talked a lot about the holistic approach of Metro. So do you want to add something, or maybe to give one specific example of your best practices or bad practices? I don't know. You talk a lot about the best. Could you talk about the bad practices?
Yes.
One?
Well, the truth is that all the good things have the bad side. So in a certain way, none of these things make a fast way into implementation, because initially, I think the whole discussion came from a more or less strict obligation, kind of. More and more rules are applied, more and more laws are applied, and it looks like this is something that is imposed on you, and therefore it feels like this is against business. And that's by nature, I think it's not a surprise. That is one of the most intensive debates at the very beginning. Is that true? And I just had a conversation here down on the floor with people and saying that this is never a fast-track thing. It hasn't been for us. So the whole technology thing on the stores costs a fortune, but it makes perfect sense, and actually it's a business case. The whole thing on the sustainable sourcing and the traceability takes a while until customers appreciate and really start to see that as a value. Somebody asked about this Mr. Goodfish. Is this something you need to promote? And yes, we need, because it is also not intuitively a value for a business owner to say, I stop selling you that species of fish because of the spawning season. And you might disappoint your customer heavily that they come on Sunday and then you don't offer that dish. But actually, if you start to communicate in advance, because you have active communication, and you say, as of next week, the season starts for spawning, therefore I will not sell this product anymore, you create an image. And you create a very sympathetic and very valuable image, and therefore you can differentiate yourself. So therefore, I would not say failure or success. I would just say it is a learning journey. It is a recognition exercise. And that cannot go in one event. This takes sustainable effort.
Okay, thank you. I will ask to Carlos. Yes. You are an expert in open innovation. Have you identified some industry best practices, and you think that we could apply that in the food and beverage service industry?
Yeah, this is a very, very good question. Before answering, I'm going to take a step back. Just from
you are a politician, or
yes,
you are a professor? Because you're okay.
Very, very small step back. So, when we think of sustainability, and we think of the food service industry, there are kind of 3 interrelated aspects that we must take into account when we want to think of the future, open innovation, all forms of innovation. Food service is a very cost-driven industry. So if whatever initiative doesn't make sense from the economic point of view, chances are it will not succeed, right? Then the industry is also very driven by time. There's many time constraints in the sense of we are very short.
Or the rush, yeah.
And we're always on the rush, and it's a very short term dealing with things. So thinking a year ahead, 2 years ahead is just a future.
Short-term vision, yeah.
And then finally is the third force. So we talk about cost, we could talk about time, and then impact. And that would be innovation. What kind of impact we want to make when we think about sustainability is about incremental steps, incremental innovations, small things that can improve in the very short term, or is more about the long term, more radical, more disruptive innovations. So the point that you were making before about small firms is, yes, for them the digital open innovation, collaborative economy, the digital solutions are there, but they don't look as nicer as they might because they are very cost, time demanding, and therefore for food service companies this is very difficult to really find out, okay, what is in there for me? So to your question, yes, we can learn from experiences that are very much into the idea of looking at collaborative economy, open innovation, developing links with related industries, right? Within the whole, the global supply chain, the relationship between the different aspects, the different actors, right? Different apps you can use in the restaurant. There are ways to reduce waste by tracing and the whole idea of traceability. But the whole point in the end is those initiatives must make sense from the cost and time point of view, right? So it's not about this unique solution. It's very much a very complex thing, right? That we can find out things that are cost-saving, time-saving, and they do have a real impact.
Okay, and you forgot also something very important, I think, in the F&B service industry, which is very special. It's satisfied the end consumer. You know, because we can clearly that it is a big impact on the management of a restaurant. Jennifer, can you explain a little bit your experience regarding the waste management, for example?
Yes. Like when I started to have the restaurant, I also have to go a bit back. I'm not coming from the restaurant industry at all. I was an actress serving in a restaurant, and so I came to the restaurant. My English is not so good, but I'm just trying. And first of all, I never thought about like too much. How can I save like? I mean, I'm making rösti. Rösti is like this potato pie, and how can I, like, when we had too much rösti, I just threw them away at the evening, and because we could not use them. And then I started to think, oh my God, I'm losing so much money, what can I do? And I started to make a soup out of it, of the rösti, and that's already sustainable, I think. And like, I'm doing the restaurant since 7 years, and since September only, I'm really thinking of how can I save money, because for me, sustainability is to save money. And people from the metro came to me, by the way, and they called me about 10 times and said, hey, we want to show you something. And I said, what do they want from me? They want to sell me something or something. And then they came to my restaurant.
They want to help you.
They wanted to help me, yes. Now I knew it, but... And then they said, yeah, we have this new Kassen system. It's called Orderbird. And I was Googling Orderbird. Like the Umsatz, how is it called?
Revenue.
Yes, it's going directly to the Finanzamt, I heard, and I was scared. And I said, no, I don't want that.
It's going to the cloud.
And but then they said, no, it will be only from 2020. But I mean, it's very important, Jennifer, that you work white. No? You're already black, so you have to work white. Ha, it's a joke. And So they really, these order bird boys, they're boys, they come, and also the metro man, he came and he showed me how I can really see like which is the best seller and which products or which meal does not go at all. And like after 2 months, I already knew, oh, this Wurstsalat, nobody wants it. I will put it away because it's just not worth it. And so I could really save money. And even I could also see, okay, the Mittagstisch, like the lunch, it's not really working very good. And now I'm getting a bit complicated because I'm also testing another system. It's called Frag Paul. I think you said it already. Frag Paul is like, you can do like my English, hey, Kopfstutz.
You can do that in German. I'm sure they will understand. I will not understand, but they will understand. So
okay, but you can do, yeah, auf Deutsch.
Okay, I'll switch to German.
And you can also see
to organize the schedule of the employee?
The schedule, yes. Yeah. And you can also see, okay, at that and that time there were so and so many employees, and you can see it at order bird at that and that time.
The productivity. You can measure the productivity of the number of the staff.
Exactly.
Compared to the revenue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was really like holding myself on this Mittagstisch, on this lunch, because I thought I need it because we have to produce the rosti for the evening. But now I just only have open in the evening, and I make more money. I can save more money. I'm so happy. No, really.
It's. Your experience is very interesting because you start to talk about trust, and Olaf said that it's very difficult for independent restaurants to trust the different system and the knowledge, because you acquire the knowledge, by doing, by the experience. And it's for that in a short video we say that it's very important to create a community and to exchange together, the community, because it's coming from that. Okay, Thomas. You are working for a big group, so can you tell us if you have a kind of global policy for the sustainable development and how it's working for you?
It's actually a great point to discuss because indeed, even if we are part of an international hotel chain, then we conduct and we lead that property almost as an individual one. And that's probably talking about good and bad practices. I should start with the good ones, but I'll reserve them for a few minutes. But if in terms of ways of improving ourselves, we should definitely use more that scale, because indeed, being part of such a group probably helps us or would help us to find some more efficiency. We were talking about investment, and indeed to save costs and also being more engaged into that sustainable way, probably we need some investment, and as a smaller property, those investments are obviously higher, and that might be one of our challenges. What we try to do currently is, in Germany at least, with the different managed properties, to work with our cluster purchasing manager and try to think ahead and discuss which could be the best ways for us to implement also at that smaller scale. I think one of the ways of improvement is probably to contact Metro, because we haven't contacted Metro yet, so that's definitely something I'll write on my to-do list.
More than happy.
Thank you. And what we also try to do is try to work on waste, because I think waste is probably the biggest change, and at the same time, the quickest way of improving ourselves. So if you were talking, Jennifer, about business, I like perhaps to focus on breakfast. Breakfast is definitely the meal period where we have the highest volume and where we also have the biggest waste. What we decided to do, we're currently developing a new breakfast table, being more respectful towards the neighborhood, working with local suppliers, and we thought that less was more. I mean by that we decided to decrease the quantity of items offered to the girls, but to improve the quality of them, supplying them locally and putting our efforts into quality. So this is, to us, a good practice because you have less quantity, so less waste. And at the same time, in terms of cost, we just thought, okay, if we save cost by decreasing the waste, then we will also improve our efficiency.
To do the selection for your product for the breakfast, did you ask to your consumer?
What we did, we actually we conducted a survey for the last couple of months, and then we were looking at which items and which products they preferred. And having those results, and we decided to actually focus our efforts on those particular products, because indeed we came also again to that point of guest satisfaction, because at the end of the day, indeed the end customer is the one that we like to please.
Yeah, because in the hospitality industry and in food and beverage industry, we have 3 axes: cost management, acquire new consumer, new clients, and of course satisfy them. It's really important. Do you have any question for each on this topic? You know, and do you have any question? Feel free. Yeah, madam. Here. Thank you.
I haven't heard any comments about packaging, about materials.
Very good question. Because, you know, we did a study in Switzerland, and the most important concern for the restaurateur independent is not the food waste, because it's cost, so they manage that very well. It's all the packaging. So do you help them, your customer with the packaging?
Yeah, I'm not sure, probably for those of you who have not had a chance to see the presentation before, we do a couple of things. One is, in the conversation with our suppliers, we have a very intense discussion on how we can optimize packaging to be more sustainable. And actually that's also in favor for the profitability, because most often you then come with less specification on how nice it should look, how colorful it should look. And we do that, by the way, also for our own brands. We used to do 4-color printing on boxes and all of these things. That's all non-value added. So we are reducing the specs, we're optimizing the material, and actually then it even is a business case. So we do that. And the other one is we help our customers in various countries to return packaging to us. So we collect it. So therefore we take them the burden of having to deal with the packaging. I mentioned that for the example. Also here in Metro France, where we collect paper, bottles, in future aluminium, even electronic goods, batteries, and the like.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the super impressive presentations. It's uplifting to learn that you really walk the talk. My name is Irene Hell. We run a press agency, a global journalist network called Trends in Media. Our mission is to support guys like you. And my question goes to Mr. Koch. So you're pioneering a very powerful new way of dealing with resources. Could you measure how your efforts to reduce food waste with the restaurants, in your supermarkets, all these wonderful tools to collect waste and recycle, is there any measurements how you could reduce the waste of these very precious resources? Thank you.
We do, and of course we did it in the traditional way, which was initially we always set targets per location on what is the acceptable shrinkage level. So this has been done in the industry for decades. And then we started to work on how do we utilize the leftovers as we have them right now. And I shared the example where we then provide leftovers to food banks to do at least something good for society. We have set ourselves a target by 2020 to reduce the shrinkage, the waste in our own ecosystem by 50%. Until 2020 from now on. And that means quite a significant upgrade. This only works 50%.
If you go to the website of Metro, you will see all their objectives regarding the sustainable development.
But honestly, I think that's probably going to be it's not easy, but that's the one we have in control. The more demanding thing is how can we reduce the shrinkage in the industry, which is, as you say, is one of the biggest problems. That varies between 30 to 40% of their cost ratio. And there I think the opportunity is, by the way, is much bigger. It's much bigger, but it's going to take more time because we need to not only roll out technology, we need to build community, we'll need to build awareness and share knowledge. And this will not only be successful, to be very clear, we will make mistakes on the journey. And then still it is hopefully then strong enough that we can motivate more and more people. 1.8 million entrepreneurs in Europe who are hardly using these technologies today. If we can get 10%, 20% on that level, the waste will come down massively.
Yeah, we hope that today we will convert some people. Yeah.
Just if I may add something
of course.
to that point. Something just came into my mind. You were talking about food banks and how, to decrease waste and do something good. What we also decided to do is actually to include the employees into the stakeholders, because, lots of businesses think employees and teams should eat something different than the guests. We had a different approach. We thought they are entitled to eat exactly the same, and instead of, wasting pieces of meat, for example, which are too small to be served, then we serve it to the team. The team is happy, you increase your employee engagement, and at the same time you decrease also your waste cost. So that's another point.
And they know your product.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Cool. Another question?
Yes. My name is Bernhard Brügger. I'm a freelancer for the Allgemeine Hotel- und Gastronomiezeitung, and I have a question to Mr. Goval. Have you some best practice examples that you can offer us how you save the breakfast table for rubbish? For example, you talked about the local offers that you used, the local areas is really interesting. You have one more big area, and have you some examples for us?
Well, if I take a very concrete example, we try to focus on cheese, cold cuts, and also honey. Because obviously the food industry and the hospitality industry is all about being in touch with people. And it was a few months ago when I was at Mauer Park, I met that lady passionate about the way she makes honey. And I thought, there is nothing more that we could have fun to actually share with our guests, because our guests look for the neighborhood, and we thought, okay, it comes from Berlin, it's made with passion, and then we can present it and build a story around it. So this is a very concrete example. The other example, and that's what I just mentioned, is that instead of having a lunch for our team, as soon as breakfast closes, the buffet remains as it is for, let's say, a quarter of an hour, and all the team members can help themselves have breakfast, let's say breakfast or lunch in the restaurant, which obviously instead of wasting what is on the buffet and which can't be used for the next day, will be directly eaten by the team. And again, that's the same quality for the guest, and for the one working directly in that department, they can just sell it or they can just share also the experience with the guests. So those are two concrete best practices that we have.
Okay, I'm sorry, we have to move on to the second topic. What are your main challenges? Jennifer, we will start with you.
With me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you have some challenges.
Yes, I have a lot of challenges. But the main challenge for me is to educate my staff with the waste of the garbage. And because in the gastronomy, the staff, it's very difficult that they're always the same. Like, some are students, they go, they come, it's like fluent, like it's coming and going. And I think that's a challenge that they get, like, that they don't put glass sometimes in the dustbin. Or I was kind of shocked because I grew up in Switzerland, and like the use of garbage is very different to Germany, I have to say. I said, how can you put paper in the dustbin? We have to separate it. And also when I started to have the restaurant, I didn't know where to put like the cartons. And okay, we have a carton behind, but it's full very fast. And now I wanted to ask you if that's allowed, because I always go to the metro behind the Friedrichs right? And with all my garbage.
So if I understand, you don't know the rules and regulations.
Yes,
Yeah?
because somebody said he always does that. No, I mean, because behind the metro in Friedrichshain there is like, you can put glasses inside and you can do that. And I'm like a sieve sometimes. I just go 2 times a week and tuck, 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 tuck. But then it's somewhere. And I don't know if it's, you can tell me, maybe it's fine, huh? Okay. Thank God. But yeah, this is very difficult for me. And I even got, before I came here, I got the SMS from my cleaning man, and he said, it's again full, the garbage behind. And in Germany, when it's too full, they don't get it. They just don't get it. As when it's like, it's just left there, and you have to do it yourself somehow. Okay. And it's really, this is, the biggest challenge for me is the waste, and that's the reason I'm really trying to reduce it.
And it's difficult to find the information, what to do with that, and how to recycle. It's difficult to find the information. Or
like, I think it's quite difficult. I mean, the only thing I can do is to, like now I got these boxes also from the metro. It's like an organic box, so when the people have too much food, they can take it home with this organic box, and you don't throw it away. And this is a good thing. But I don't know if you know Foodify, because I'm testing a lot of programs at the moment. And it's not that I'm paid for that I'm saying it, but it's really a very, very good program. It's called Foodify, and you calculate your, you really know how much it costs, like every meal, and you know how much is going back, and it really makes it easier, but it's very complicated to start it. I mean, when you start with like a calculation program, you really need about 5 days only to put it inside and the prices. And
so you need support.
Pardon?
You need support at the beginning, support.
Yes, not support, you just need time.
Time.
And
okay.
Time is something we don't really have.
Carlos talked about that, about time. Yeah, time constraints. Yeah, it's a daily business, so it's very difficult.
It is, yes. Yeah. And besides, so before, yes, I talk about cost and time, and the main challenge, I think, is this sustainability is an extremely complex phenomenon. You can say you need a multiple stakeholder perspective in here to manage, right? So you are working alone in your restaurant, and you need to recycle and understand that what is the process, what should I do I have the time to do, is it expensive, is it not? And we have to think about sustainability for a very broad perspective. We need to educate people, we have to educate ourselves.
Yep.
Education is the basic aspect for consumers, for entrepreneurs, for big retailers, right? You need to make people aware of the importance. And then you need to have all the institutional partners, the politicians, the legislators, everyone involved. This is not you cannot really build the building just by small bricks. You really need an architecture that designs the whole piece, and it has a very long-term perspective.
And it's the main challenges for the sustainable
development. And it's a huge challenge for us,
exactly.
Right? So
but when we have done research in Europe regarding the supply management, the majority of the restaurateurs say, okay, the sustainable development is great, wonderful, but it's not my work to do that. It's not my job. It's my suppliers. My suppliers have to do that for me.
Yes.
So I think you'll take seriously this role in consideration, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to add something?
Yes, of course. Well, on the main challenges, I would say that there are 2 things. When we talk about all these aspects, it seems like we are talking about rocket science, where in fact we are talking about things that have been applied across various industries. over 40 years. So automatic replenishment, supply chain forecasting has been done in big factories now for 30 years, in smaller factories since 20 years, in small business since 10 years. So I think what we need to get through is we need to make it simple. You say it's complex, and it is, because right now it is like, you know, a night where there's no cloud on the sky, there are all these stars, and you need to pick one. It is impossible, because it is so complex. And our role should be to help to come to experiences that make it very simple. Your journey, like you described it, is not a unique one. I think many customers that we see right now are helping us actually to understand how can we make it simpler, and we want to support, and that's why Berlin is a pilot market where we have now like 300 customers who are supporting, and that's the biggest challenge for us. How can we help you faster? How can we consume less of your time and make it easier so that the value becomes also more effective and meaningful, therefore us coming into a situation where we can help customers to be more successful. And that's our main agenda on the HoReCa digital side. We have a separate division that only works on that topic. And today I think we have a meaningful level of solutions. We have a meaningful level of knowledge, but still I would say we're at 5% of what we need to build. And that's why we'll invest significant effort into that. And then I think we can make a contribution for this industry to take advantage of the many innovations of the last 40 years in any other industry. And that's going to be good for the customers of our customers. It's going to be good for the independent entrepreneurs and for the larger entrepreneurs, because they will also benefit from that. And eventually will be good for us.
Okay. By the way, regarding the simple solution, I have a brochure, if you want to have it, on the simple solution to manage the waste, the food waste for entrepreneur and small restaurant. I have some, if you need, at the end. Do you have any question regarding these topics? The second topics, the challenges? Yes?
Thank you very much. My name is Caroline Seeger. I work for 2050. We're a management consultancy in the area of business and human rights. We're based here in Berlin and in the UK, and we do work with a lot of the large German and international companies. Now, my questions, and I can see up there, main challenges, food, financial, and resources waste, but what I'm missing a bit from this discussion is the social aspect of sustainable development. So we're very much talking about environmental aspects and resource use, etc. And Mr. Koch was talking about some of this in his earlier presentation regarding working conditions, for example. Now, we know, and it's in the public a lot more recently, that especially in agricultural supply chains, you also mentioned fish earlier, there are a lot of labor abuses, there are a lot of violations of human rights in those supply chains. And I'm wondering, so two questions here, one to the restaurateurs and the academic, whether that is something that you're seeing come up in your work. Is that something that customers will ask you about, or other stakeholders? And to Mr. Koch as well, I'd be interested in your approaches that go deeper in the supply chain. So you mentioned audits, but that's one aspect of addressing those issues. So I'd be grateful for your comments. Thank you.
Okay, Carlos, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. Sustainability, as you mentioned, and you rightly did so, is an economic, it's an environmental, and it's a social or ethical problem, right?
And culture. No.
And for sure, it's also a cultural problem, right? When we want to deal with the social, cultural, or educational, or ethical problem, first is law enforcement, second is education. And now I really want to be provocative, but that's something that we all need to think about. And it's the following. When you are a citizen, a good citizen, you in your home, you really want to buy a locally produced food, and you want your neighbors and the community to really thrive, right? But at the same time, when we change our head and we become consumers. We go online and we check for that restaurant that it charges the less for the menu, or we want to buy groceries in the cheapest store, or we're willing to buy clothing in Primark and spend €5 for a trouser. And when we do so, we know that we are buying, when we are consumers, we are buying products that for sure are high chances that they are legally so-so, and also probably we are behaving in a really uneducated way, right? But we are consumers.
It's what we call the schizophrenia of the consumer.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I told before, this is all about, to begin with education, right? It's not just that I want an eco-friendly environment and I want a sustainability, it's that what is my individual behavior? Is there anything I'm doing for the right or for the wrong reasons when I'm consuming, right? Or when I am buying products and things like that, and I leave it there.
Jennifer, you want to say that?
Yeah, I am located in Kreuzberg, and as you maybe know, there are a lot of restaurants there which are very cheap, like you can get a pizza for €2 or €3, and also me, when I started, I sold my rösti for about €6 because I just supplied very cheap ingredients because I just wanted to keep the price very low. But I think I just saw it like 1 year ago, I cannot, I don't want that anymore because I want fair trade, and as you can see, I also have like a African background, and I just want like fair prices, fair trade coffee, but then I have to change my concept. I have to be more expensive, and that's the first side of that. And will it work? And I can see people in my age, the minds are changing, and they want to pay for good treatment. Like I have bio eggs and bio meal for the spätzlis, and it's like normal. It's getting more normal. And the other side of the humanity is for me that you don't throw. I mean, sometimes there is food like goulash. You cannot like keep it for a long time, but you can maybe make a soup out of it. No? And when there was, I don't know if you remember Oranienplatz, where the refugees were. I always went there, and we just gave them soup. I mean, just that so we don't have to throw it. And
in Switzerland, you cannot do that because there is rules and regulation, and you cannot do that. So
you can't do that?
No. No.
It's illegal.
No.
Where?
Because there are rules and regulation, and you have, it's very strict regarding all the food. When it's cooked, it's very difficult after that. So it's really difficult, to keep the right balance. But go ahead, sorry, I interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm almost I'm already finished, but it's like, it's kind of difficult sometimes because on the one side, my mom always said, first save yourself and then save the others. And on the other side, you have to keep the balance. And I'm very happy that now the prices that I have in the restaurant, they're accepted, and that's good, I think.
So the innovation can help to do that, but it's not so easy to find the right way to manage a traditional restaurant. So, Thomas, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating just to listen to the discussion and actually understand that education is probably the key concept of tomorrow, because it's not only for the end consumer, but it's probably also starting at schools. When you educate children, when you make them understand that such things, such values are actually key in their future adult's life. And I believe that's something which could be applied in any country. And if you change that mindset, then probably, as you said, it's going to be more and more accepted. And currently, obviously, as we can see in different countries, the attractions of such low prices make end consumers choose, and especially with time again, the express menus, the ones which are very convenient, and I believe we have definitely something then to add here, but education is probably key.
Olaf?
Yeah, well, I think education is absolutely key, but I would also say that overall we are living in a time where societies are starting to change priorities, and I think food priority is growing and growing. We just recently did a survey for Real. Real is a unique offer in Germany. We offer 65,000 articles in a market which is dominated still by discount right now. 44% of the German market are discount, which means 1,500 SKUs. Supermarkets typically have 4,000 to 8,000 articles. They represent 40%. 84% of the German market, therefore, is in a very narrow offer compared to international standards. So we raised the question, maybe nobody wants it. And we need to understand, because we are facing an issue at Real to show that we are providing value to the consumer. And we did a survey with a couple of institutions, and the result was very encouraging. That 30% of the German population actually are aspiring for more quality, are aspiring for experience. And that's why we built this new store in Krefeld, where we're not only providing much more advice and training, but also there's a food court in the market, and people enjoy the food there. And at that market, in general at Real, we promote permaculture. And permaculture is probably the most advanced in saying then this is the full holistic sustainable approach. Is that a straight success? No. It is something that evolves, and we need to stay on it to get not only to education, which I think is super important for the young people, but also for recognition among the whole society. Now, but to your point is, what do you do now in the current sourcing? What we do is we have strict policies, as we used to have on apparel when we used to own Galeria Kaufhof, with BSCI and all the things that happen there. All of that needs to be optimized and continuously be challenged, because as you are reacting on it, none of these things is perfect, and none of these things can 100% exclude that there is misbehavior. Nor can we. The only thing we can do is we can set strict policies and do the best job we can to be aware of problems. And the best way to do that is on fresh and ultra fresh. We have a growing volume that is really supplied by our trading offices. So we have a trading office for fish in Concarneau, we have a trading office for meat in Rotterdam, we have a trading office for fruit and veg in Spain, Valencia, and in Turkey. And there we then know where it comes from, and we can be much more effective also in making choices. We don't take it from you anymore. We take it from you because we know you follow the rules. But can we guarantee 100% that everything's fine? We cannot.
Okay, we will move on to the third topic, the future. The future. Deloitte have done a study, and a prospective study, and they identify four scenarios and two axes of uncertainties. It was connectivity and resource consumption. Do you have other uncertainties for the future? You know, very crucial for the sustainable development future? Carlos?
Yeah. Well, I would say the main uncertainties are no longer uncertainties. So climate change.
Yep.
What we do with the waste and the emissions, and what is the main problem with wasting resources, right? There's no longer uncertainties. What I see is that the way we are dealing with these no so long uncertainties, it might be more uncertain. Like, are we moving toward a more sustainable model? Well, I hope so, but again, it's a very challenging situation. For example, when we think about luxury in hotels is one of those market niche in which sustainability is taking longer to get in. You see the breakfast buffet in those places.
So you are not very optimistic?
In that regard, I'm not. On the other hand, I am extremely optimistic in what is the grassroots, small companies, medium-sized companies, and also some large companies that are really into it. There are the big three R's, right? Reduce, reuse, and recycle. We now doing better in the third and the recycle. We are getting into the first two R's, the more difficult ones. Metro is a wonderful example of how to use something that used to be a waste as a resource, help businesses to think differently. Reducing is making the whole business more efficient, but at the same time, reusing, it creates the needs for creativity, innovation, helping businesses to think of waste and other things in a very different way, right? So you can even profit from something that in the past was a source of problem, right, for the business. So if we really help the business to focus on the first two R's, then the scenario might be a lot more optimistic.
Okay. Jennifer?
I think the future, also when sometimes I'm not for it, but I think the future will be digital. And there is one word I was thinking, transparent. What is this in English again?
Transparent.
Transparent. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was searching for nothing. I think that the customers, or in the future, people, they want more transparency. They want to know what's in their, what's in everything. They want to know where are the things going from, where are they from, and I think one day they will look in the internet, in this restaurant you can have that, and...
Are you sure they are looking for transparency or for stories?
For?
Stories, histoire.
Histoire, oui. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, I ask you.
I
am a little bit provocative.
Oh.
Yeah?
I didn't understand it, so I was just acting as if... okay. No.
Well, if I may help on that,
Thank you, Olaf.
I think that getting data and digital into play and getting rid of all the burden, all the unpleasant stuff, the administration, the replenishment, the waste management, puts you in a position to serve more the emotional part.
Exactly. Then you don't really lose time always. Then you can really do that what you really like to do. Now you want to be like the host of the place, and you don't really want to do all this other stuff all the time. And when you're one time, I already said to the guy who introduced me to Orderbird, to Resmio, to all this stuff, I said, I know what you're doing. You're trying to, because one day I cannot live without it, like, because already now it's like a need. And yeah, I mean, this is also very intelligent of you, I have to say. Yeah. Because I'm getting all this stuff and I really like it, and it's really more easy because I have more time for the necessary thing, but I think I cannot live without it anymore. And so I'm also...
Which actually at the end of the day, of course, eventually, as I said before, can help the business relationship with Metro. But, and I say that, and I know that now some people might put a question mark on it. I say it with my full intention and honesty. At the end of the day, what we are interested in is not that you use one or that tools, but that you use tools. If there was an alternative one, which has not been introduced by Metro, use that one. The only interest we would have is get rid of all the non-value add work, which today consumes like probably, I don't know, but a high degree of your time. If you have that, then you can focus on the value add, and the value add is the emotional, as you said, to really do what you enjoy. And if you ask me what I think where this is going to, actually technology will enable more social. Because then I can give an experience, I can build community. And while everybody today talks about technology, digital, I think the outcome at the end of the day is more empathy, and therefore more social, and therefore community. If you build a community around your place, you're there for long.
Yeah, that's true.
Thomas?
Yeah, I would almost say I have a dream. I would like to see sustainability exactly like new technologies nowadays, because you couldn't really imagine an hotel without offering Wi-Fi, could you? So why shouldn't we think that in a few years, perhaps in a few decades, it might take time, guests won't imagine tasting something which have been locally sourced and which have been respectful towards agriculture or towards suppliers. So this would be my optimistic vision of the future on top of education, which would actually make it easier and which would make it actually, almost like part of the daily life for everyone.
Yeah, perceive. And Olaf?
Well, I just would build on what I mentioned. I truly believe that building such communities around those businesses also is then the precondition to address the sustainability topic in a much more intense way. If you can articulate what you're standing for, if you articulate you want to go for sustainable products, you're promoting a sustainable value chain, you're taking care about all of these things, I think we will see the next level of change in society. And I'm a strong believer that we are just at the beginning of that.
Do you have any question? That's my conclusion, you know?
There is
no question? Yeah, sorry. We have 3 minutes.
Ist das in Ordnung, wenn ich die Frage auf Deutsch?
Is it okay to ask in German? Yes, of course.
Like to contribute to the point of the education, because I'm coming from a field, I'm looking around how to motivate people to live in a sustainable way, and I found out that there's a big gap between knowledge and action. And one point is the psychology of human being, that it has to be easy, that has to be for your own profit, bedürfnis, for your own need, and I think it's important to think about this. I would be interested to know how you managed with this. And also a little idea for the first question, I tried to raise my hand, but was not seen. Perhaps it would be good to inform the people who are using a buffet, for example, at the end, that they could go to the kitchen if they want something more, but not to put a full bucket there which you have to throw away. If people would know you have to throw it away, they would act in another way, in my way.
Have you been in a kitchen already? Have you been in a kitchen, in a professional kitchen?
Not at all, but perhaps I would have answers for this right now.
Okay.
And believe it or not, but when I was talking about the new breakfast table, we actually decided to remove all chiffon dishes on the buffet. That means all cold items remain on the buffet, and which are the ones which actually can be kept, not all of them, but mostly kept also for one more day, for example, and all hot items are now offered à la carte. Obviously, this is a cost for us because you need more team members to be able to provide exactly the same level of service, but this is part of our engagement to say, okay, let's actually think ahead, think differently how we can reorganize the team and how can we actually support with more team members to offer that service. So if you come to the hotel and you are kindly invited as from next week, because we are launching the new breakfast table exactly on Monday, then you won't see any more chiffon dishes, and this is part of our actions to actually provide exactly what the guest chooses, because he has a menu on the table, and if he wants more, obviously we'll be happy to provide this with more, because the cost of it are almost non-existent.
Yeah, but as a customer, having the breakfast in the morning at the hotel, it's also a question of time. I don't want to wait. Yeah? So it's really not so easy to find a solution. Yeah, maybe you are ready to wait. I am not ready to wait. There is a lot of consumer as me, you know? So it's really difficult if you have a business hotel. So it's not so easy to find the right balance, you know? But you are true. We have to explore different paths. But there is some constraints. And maybe I need to be educated and to take time. I agree. But when you have plane strikes, it's difficult. Yeah? Okay. Do you want to answer? No? Another question? Yes? It's not working? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Guillaume. I work in technology for travel companies, and I have a question for the two managers, entrepreneurs. So you put in place new systems and new ideas to make more sustainability in your business every day. So you either invent those processes, those ideas by yourselves, or you get them from another source. How do you then distribute these insights, these informations to your peers, to other hoteliers, other entrepreneurs out there, online, just talking to the people? I wanted to know more a bit about this.
You have an intention behind, yeah? No, I'm joking. Okay.
Hello? Yes, I will hold it like this. It was very funny because 2 weeks ago, really, other restaurant, which I really like very much, came to me and asked me to help him with Orderbird. And because it's a new technology, and at the moment on my Facebook account sometimes I make a bit advertisement for Orderbird, just like that, because the guys always eat at our place or at my place, and because it's so good.
You are starting a relationship.
No,
yeah?
But of course I get, it's not that I am a teacher for them, but some people come and ask me, are you using that? Or now Foodify is very complicated, because you have to really put every food inside, but at the end you can really calculate every menu, as I said, and yeah, it needs explanation, of course.
So you are starting to create a community?
Yes.
Just perhaps to quickly add something on what you said, this is probably for us the advantage of being part of a larger hotel chain, because we do develop those projects as, first of all, as a pilot, and then we develop it with the other properties in Europe, and we have regular calls, regular communities, website where we share those best practices. So the way we do it, we started at one property, not necessarily Berlin, it can be Düsseldorf, it can be London, and then when we see it works, and when we see also how we can improve them, then we share, let's say, kind of final model towards the estate.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to thank you, our panel members. Thank you.
Thank you.